although the mitzvah of Shabbos was given, it wasn't given yet that they should practice it. It was given to learn about it. That's a
very brisker. That's a very brisker svara. You don't have to do the mitzvahs. You just have to learn the lumdus.
Well, it didn't apply. In other words, it didn't apply yet until Matan Torah.
So they got like a heads up that this is something that eventually they're going to have to subscribe to.
Right.
Okay. So that's something that's going to come into play today. Then it says Moshe Ola Elohim Vayikra Elav Hashem in the Ar Lemar Koi Samuel Leishaka V'Shaka Levei Yisrael. So this relates that Moshe went up on day one of the 3-day cycle of when he went up. He went up, and Hashem told him all the wonderful things about being Jewish. If you take the Torah, it's going to be good for you. Then it says, so he wanted to share what he learned. So he went up early in the morning. This is what he got. He came down in the morning. Moshe delivered the message to Klal Yisrael that he got. Then what did they respond? Now, Moshe means Moshe went back up. So the Gemara is going to know what happened over here. What exactly did Moshe tell them? What exactly did Moshe tell Hashem? The last he heard from them was Nasav and Nishma, which he already related to Hashem in Vayashav Moshe. So the Gemara is going to learn that there was another thing here. The Gemara is going to end up saying that this back and forth was when Moshe told them about the mitzvahs Hagbalah. Moshe Rabbeinu told them that they have to create a barrier around Har Sinai, and Klal Yisrael accepted that. And then there was a third round. So right away it's going to be funny, because if we just learned in the pasuk earlier, Vayagid Moshe Hashem is their response to the mitzvah Hagbalah, then this is a little bit out of order. And we're going to see that in Echanami it is out of order. But he told them, Yishamul them Allah Yisbar, the Geber Ketzel, Kol Negev Bar Mashumas, L'Sika Bayod, L'Kisach Yisakal, Yar Bevish. This is the here Meshalom, L'Kayla Shalom, L'Chaps Meloisam, and then he said, Hayyin Chayim Hashem, I'll teach you Elisha. So there was a third sifur. So we're going to be talking about 3 different times when Moshe Rabbeinu went up and got there was 3 messages. The first message was Ve'atem Tiyali, Mamlachas Kohen V'Kadosh. The second message was to be Magbil the Har, to create a barrier around Har Sinai. And the third message was they have to separate from their wives for 2 or 3 days.
Able to hear? Yeah.
So we're going to discuss these 3 events, the 3 events of the 3 times that they went up to Har Sinai. The Moshe went up to Har Sinai to pick up a message and deliver a message for Klal Yisrael. So that's what we're going to be dealing with today. So let's see what the Gemara says. Keep ligi b'kfidi yarcha. Rabbi Yosy suffered b'chad b'shaba ikfa yarcha. Rosh Chodesh Sivan was on Sunday. U'v'chad b'shaba lo amar hu v'lo midi. Mishum chol shadorcha. As we said, they had just arrived from Mora, so they had been traveling. They were exhausted, so they arrived on Sunday, and Sunday was lazy day. They just unpacked and settled in. B'trei b'shaba on Monday, amar lahu. That's when Moshe went up, and he was commanded, Ba'atem tiyuli mamlechas koyanim. Bitlasa on Tuesday, Amalahu mitzvah Hagvalah. Hashem told Moshe about the mitzvah to create a barrier around Har Sinai. Ba'arba, and on Wednesday he told them that they have to separate from their wives. V'Rabbanan Tzachar. The Rabbanan hold, the whole cycle started on Monday. B'trei b'Shaba ikvayacha. Rosh Chodesh was on Monday. B'trei b'Shaba, and that was the day they arrived. B'trei b'Shaba amar lehu v'lo midi misham chol shadorcha. And on Monday they didn't do anything. B'tlosa Tuesday, amar lehu, he told them batem tiyuli. Barba on Wednesday, amar lehu mitzvah v'lo. B'heyos on Thursday, avot perisha that Hashem gave them the tzivay that they have to separate from their wives. Meis v'fekting gemara. V'kidashtem hayoyim u'mocher. What does the pasuk say? Now, Rabbi Yosy said that they were going to, the tzivah came on Wednesday, and they separated from their wives Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. The problem is the pasuk says right over here, so it sounds like they only had 2 days where they had to separate from their wives. So how is it that Rabbi Yosy learns they were 3 days? This seems to indicate, in fact, like Rabbanan Shita, that was only on Thursday where they had the mitzvahs prisha, and the mitzvahs prisha was only Thursday and Friday. In fact, it was only supposed to be 2 days. Moshe was the one who added 3 days and pushed off Kabbalah Satorah 1 day. The Tanya, Gimel Dvarim also Moshe Midaita, such a very famous price. There are 3 things that Moshe did without being told so by the Rebbeinu Shalom. There was own takanas, and the Hiskim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and at the end of the day, Hashem agreed. One was Hoshev Yoy Mechad Midaita. He pushed off Kabbalah Satorah, and he added 1 day to the preparation process. And he separated from his wife. Now he separated from his wife when everybody else did before Matan Torah. But after everyone went back to their wives after Matan Torah, Mosher Rabbeinu stayed away from his wife. And B'shibur Saluchos, and he broke the luchos. So the Gemara elaborates, a beautiful Gemara. Where did he get it from? He got it because it says the Kiddashim Hayoim U'Mocher, and he decided to darshan on his own. Hayoim K'Mocher. Today should be like tomorrow. Mala Mocher Leila Imoy. So if we're standing on Wednesday, and the Hashem says Hayoim U'Mocher, tomorrow, which is Thursday, would have the night with it. We know that in the Jewish calendar, the night precedes the day. So Wednesday night is the night before Thursday. So Thursday was included not only the day Thursday, but also Wednesday night. So therefore he assumed that Wednesday should also include the night before, but it couldn't because the tzivah first came on Wednesday. So therefore he added Friday. And the night before Wednesday, the night that precedes Wednesday is gone because we're on Wednesday afternoon. So Shemamina, Trei Yoime, Levar Me'oidna. That's why he decided to add Friday as well. How do you know, in fact, that Hashem was moide masking to what he did? Well, the answer is very simple. Because Matan Torah, in fact, didn't happen on Friday. It happened on Shabbos. So it was pretty obvious that Kadosh Baruch Hu agreed with the delay of Mosher Rabbeinu. The next one is very interesting. Pirish when Isha, my Dorish, how did he know to separate from his wife? He made a kavachemer. Amar, he says, Umay Yisrael, Shalagibra Shechina Iman. The Shechina did not speak to them. Elasha Achas. The Shechina only spoke to them at that one point, Matan Torah. And not only that, for Kabbalah and Zman, there was an outlook appointment on the calendar. It wasn't spontaneous. And nevertheless, Amr Torah, V'hayu Nechoinim, Al Tikshu, Ani, Shekol Shah V'Shah Shechina Midaversini. First of all, every day, I'm speaking to the Shechina. And Ve'enoi Kaveli Zman. We don't make an outlook appointment. It's spontaneous. Hashem will just come to me. So I have to be ready, on guard, at all times. Al Achas Kama V'Kama. How do you know that Hashem was masking to the Kabbalah that Mosher Rabbeinu made on his own to be purged from his wife? After Kabbalah Satorah, Hashem told him, tell them, you go back. You have to remain here. That's one shot, one place from where we know that Hashem was happy that Moshe Rabbeinu stayed with him. And the obvious question is, V'ata poya moedi modi sounds very much like a commandment. So if it's a commandment, who said Moshe did it on his own? This undermines the entire premise of our Gemara. Our Brisa says Moshe did it on his own. V'ata poya moedi modi doesn't sound very much on his own. It sounds like Hashem told him, you better stick with it. Now there's another pshat. The East Army pe el pe adaber boy. When Aaron and Miriam spoke ill of Moshe that he separated from his wife, Hashem came to his defense. So clearly, Hashem came to Moshe Rabbeinu's defense that Moshe Rabbeinu separated from his wife. Now, do you think Zipporah was happy about it? That Moshe separated from her? You know, what type of marriage was it? She's married to a guy and she never sees him. He's busy a whole day with cloud work. You know, what do I need this for? So there's a very fascinating toshis I want to run through. In time when we no longer Pirish Moshe Midaitoi, Koidem, and then Veshuv Hiskim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yodoi, Shem is out Tziva Gomer, Shetziva Lo Lifresh. Maybe Moshe Rabbeinu didn't do this on his own. But the Paya Modi Modi is pretty explicit. It's a tzivoi that he has to separate from his wife. Zok says for Tisha B'Yom Tam, the Miza the Machmas Tzivi HaKadosh Baruch Hu Pirish, if you want to suggest that he did this on his own, that he did this because of tzivoi, he didn't do it on his own. Hey, Choyim Aaron and Miriam. How could Aaron and Miriam have complained about it? The fact that they complained, obviously, it was on his own that he did it. If he was commanded from Hashem, they wouldn't dare speak ill of Moshe for doing that. Even though Hashem was masking, Mikol Mokaim Nisrael love, they were still upset at him. Had he not thought of this great idea, after Moshe Rabbeinu thought of this great idea, Hashem said, you know what, I like it. But who asked him to bring it up? He never had to do that. Who asked him? Sure, now he's in a pickle, he has no choice. But Aaron and Miriam, Hashem never told Aaron and Miriam to separate from their spouses. We know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu spoke to Aaron and Miriam as well. Nevertheless, there was no need for them to separate. So clearly, this was Moshe's own chumrah. In fact, this is an interesting kasha. The mashim of a medrash, shelo yadu zman gadol shapirish mimena. They didn't know that he had separated from his wife for such a long time, because gabe elder umeidad shoyim misnabin. When the elder umeidad were saying nevuah, we know what Miriam said. Shamar Miriam Ashrein Shasayim Shal Elu Shenismanu by Lehan Parnosan Alatibur. Wow, these women are so lucky that their husbands were promoted to such a prestigious position. It's a person, you think that's such a good thing? It's not so good. Oylahem Shasayim Shal Elu Shemiyoim Shenisyach Shchina Imachicha Pirish Mimeni. Groise Gedil the Groise Knacker. Her husband's a famous guy, world known. She never. Ever since he became so famous, so big, rich and famous, I'm a nobody. She doesn't talk to me anymore. Biyad Vatadaber Miriam va'Aaron b'Moshe. So it's mashma shelo yodu kodem lochem. It's mashma they had no idea until the story of Elder Umeida. In fact, that Moshe had separated. They played it good in public. No one knew that they were separated. V'chilo yodu. How could they not have known? Did they not also hear that Sivan? By Tam, the Yadu. They must have known that he separated from his wife all along. But they thought that the reason why he separated all along was because of the Atapoya Modi Modi, not realizing that was prompted by Moshe Rabbeinu himself. Tzipora spilled the beans and said, no, Hashem would have never told my husband to separate. Since he was Ola Dula, he felt on his own that he should separate. Hashem was masking. So then they spoke with Shnora, who asked Moshe Rabbeinu to be such a firmak, to separate from his wife, and Avad Hashem was masking, but he was one who brought upon himself.
Yosy, I have to share a fantastic vort from Rav Yitzchak Shern just on this topic. He asks, from where does Miriam, who's a tzaddikas and a nevuah or neviah, come to speak Lashon Hara. It's just out of character for her to do that. So he says that she had a shita way back from Mitzrayim that a husband doesn't separate from his wife. And indeed, she was critical of her father.
And more than Moshe, you wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for that shita.
That's it. From that union, Mosher Rabbeinu was born. And now he himself is separating from his wife so that she couldn't be civil that. So
Wow, beautiful. Beautiful. And until they thought it wasn't his fault in Mila, but now they see that he brought it upon himself. Who asked him to do that? Okay. So now we know all those smiling women that are the wives of Rabbanim and famous knackers. We don't know what's going on behind that smile. You know, in a moment of the krechsach, I'd rather just have a normal family. Okay, so let's see what happens.
So just to go over it, so the order was that first Moshe Rabbeinu decided to separate because he made a kal v'chomer with himself. Then HaKadosh Baruch Hu agreed with him. Correct?
That's right.
That was the order?
That's right. And they didn't know that until Tzipporah spilled the beans.
Until later, when Tzipporah, they figured out which was about, I would say, where's Dave Zolt? It was probably about a year later.
How much
A year later, Eldad
Umeidad?
Umeidad was in the second year?
second year, yeah.
It was the second year, so it was a year later.
Eldad
Why would...
That was it was way after they built the Mishkan. Right, it was after, right.
The Mishkan was the second year.
I think Vayikolam is in him after that. So they were already left Har Sinai to go to Eretz Canaan, but it was before the Meraglim. Is one of those three protests that happened right before the Chet HaMeraglim, Parshas Baloscha.
Right, so it had to have been it was the second year.
Second year.
Right, and Yeshua was already part of the Beis Medrash. Was after the Meraglim.
No, it was before the Meraglim.
Eldad Umeidad was before the Meraglim?
Yeah, it's Vayikolam synonym. That's in the middle of part B. Those were the inverted nuns, right?
Right.
And then we have three episodes of where the Bnei Yisrael were nichshel. One is they couldn't stand the man and the issue of the mishpachai sehem and
right
and one of them. Oh yeah, so Moshe Rabbeinu says, I can't carry these people. I can't take it anymore. Right. So the Rebbe Shalom gave him an eitzah that he should create a Bezdin, the Sanhedrin, take 70 people, right? So Eldad and Meidad, so they took an equal amount from every Shevet and they had a lottery. So Eldad and Meidad were the ones that were out. They didn't make it because you couldn't divide 70 into 12 Shvatim evenly. So
they were the remainder.
Right, they were the remainder.
Right.
So this was before the Meraglim, but after they left Har Sinai.
Right. So I get, my question is, where did Moshe Rabbeinu know that it should be permanent separation from his wife? Okay, so while the Torah is there, so while the Mishkan is there, and the Rebbeinu Shalom says Vata poi amoidimadi was a temporary injunction to be separate from his wife.
But a
he never knew when Hashem was going to call him.
Yes, I know. So Hashem was going to call him until the Torah, until the Mishkan. By the time it was already sort of settled into living in the Midbar, and they were already there for 40 years. At that point, they were only going to be in Eretz Yisrael for 2 years, and Moshe Rabbeinu was going to go into Eretz Yisrael. But I think this was directly commanded till the Torah was given. Once the Torah was given, right? Once the Torah was given, how did Moshe Rabbeinu know that it should be permanent? That's all. You're right. Hashem can speak to me anytime.
Hashem never released it. By Klal Yisrael, he said, the Shvu Lechem Laleichem. And he told Moshe, you stay here. And he never told Moshe, you're
that was after the.
Right, but he never released it. Hashem never released Moshe from that commitment.
From that point, okay.
And it's one thing after Moshe retired, then he would have been released. But
right, but he retired the day he died, right?
That's right. There was no retirement in those days. Okay. Zok Gemara weiter.
I think he learned, while the Mishkan was being built, he hung out in a place called the Oil Moed. There's two Oil Moeds. There's one pre-Mishkan and one was the Mishkan itself. So he hung out in this Oil Moed, which was outside of the Machna, and he was constantly getting nevuas in there. He was being taught the Torah. I mean, you think that he got all of the Torah in Har Sinai? Not necessarily. Not on Har Sinai, but at Har Sinai, while he was in the Oil Moed, that first Oil Moed. So he could have gotten nevuas at any time of the day.
Yeah. So let's see what it says over here. Shiber Shaluchas. He also broke the luchas. My darsh. How did he know to break the luchas? Again, you made a kalachimer. Omar Mosher Rabbeinu said, "Ma Pesach, madach the mitzvah of Korban Pesach, shehu echot mitarik mitzvahs." It's only one individual mitzvah of the 630 mitzvahs. Nevertheless, Omar Torah v'chol benecher layochel boy, and Rashi says benecher means a mummer, not a goy, even a Jew who doesn't do mitzvahs, who doesn't follow the Torah. Shenisnak rumaisov la'aviv shabbat shemayim. He's not allowed to bring the Korban Pesach. So therefore, a Torah kula kan. I hold the 10 commandments. I'm holding here the luchas, which encompasses the whole Torah. For Yisrael mumarim, and Klal Yisrael are right now mumarim. Allah has kama v'kama. They shouldn't be able to access the luchas, and that's why he broke them. The kama. I'm sorry. Uminolam the hiskin Hakadosh Baruch Hu al yadoi. And how do we know that Hakadosh Baruch Hu was masking his breaking the luchas? Shenemar Asher Shibarto, that you broke them. And what do we learn from there? Amar Shlokish, Yasher Koyach Sheshibarto. Yasher Koyach, that you broke the luchos. Akiva, I see that the recording is on, but did we announce the sponsors?
We don't have sponsors yet for today. Shlomi's was for 3 days, and we're looking for sponsors.
Okay.
Sponsorship is we could squeeze a sponsor in. I have room for one more.
Okay. Tashma. It says you should be ready for the third day. Well, doesn't that mean you prepare for 2 days, and then on the third day is going to be the event? Kasha Rabbi Yosy, that's Shver according to Rabbi Yosy, who holds that there were 3 days of preparation. So why is that a kasha? We already said that originally the event was supposed to be on the third day, which would have been Friday, and Mosher Rabbeinu added an extra day. Tashma, we have an interesting brisa. It says Shlishi, the third. The third of what? This is something that the Gemara is going to ask a little later. What was this the third of? Whatever it is, this third happened also to be Shlishi b'chodesh. It happened to have been the third day of the month. And Shlishi b'Shabbos, it also happened to have been the third day of the week, which was Tuesday. Now, according to Rabbi Yosy, this makes a lot of sense because Rosh Chodesh was Sunday, and then Monday and Tuesday. Tuesday was not only the third of the month, it was also Tuesday. And that stems beautifully. So Kasha l'Rabbanan, it's Shver under Rabbanan, who holds that Tuesday would have been only the second day of the month. Amalach Rabbanan, Hamani Rabbi Yosy in the Chanami, this brisa that says Shlishi b'Chodesh or Shlishi b'Shabbos, that's not consistent with the Shita of the Rabbanon. It's only consistent with the Shita of Rabbi Yosy. Shlishi l'mai, the Shlishi that we're talking about. What is it? The third. The third to what? So tomorrow Tanya. Now we're going to bring several Shitas, but we're focusing on the Shita that we're going to bring down from Rebbe. It says Vayoshev Moshe is divrei ha'am el Hashem. The Yosef Moshe is divrei ha'am el Hashem. Vayagid Moshe is divrei ha'am el Hashem. This is the famous kasha. Let's look at it inside so we see its context and how they're spread out from each other. So first, Hashem told them, "V'atem tiyu li mamlachas kohen v'lo kadosh, ela advarim asher tedaber el bnei Yisrael," and Moshe delivered the message, and Klal Yisrael responded, "V'yana kol miyachav yomu kol asher diba Hashem nasa." And then Moshe had to pass the message back. V'yoshev Moshe is divrei ha'am el Hashem. And then there's another pasuk that doesn't seem to be adding much. And then it says, Vayagid Moshe is divrei ha'am el Hashem. but it doesn't seem like there's anything new here to discuss that Moshe had to relate to Hashem. So what is going on? That's what the Gemara is telling us. So Zok the Heilige Gemara. L'chei Tanya, v'yoshev Moshe Dever Mal Hashem, uchsev v'yagid Moshe Dever Mal Hashem. Ma amar le'HaKadosh Baruch Hu Moshe. What exactly did Hashem tell Moshe? U'ma amar le'Moshe le'Yisrael. And what message did Moshe deliver to Klal Yisrael? U'ma amar le'Yisrael le'Moshe. And then what did Klal Yisrael tell Moshe? And then U'ma heishev Moshe le'Agudah. And then what did Moshe go back? Zok the Gemara, Zu mitzvahs Hakbala. The second v'yagid Moshe Dever Mal Hashem is referring to Hashem told Klal Yisrael that they have to create a barrier around Har Sinai. Mosher Rabbeinu told us to Klal Yisrael, and Klal Yisrael accepted that mitzvah. Now, even though if you look at the psukim, it's a little bit out of order because it doesn't say anything about Hakbala before the Vayagid. Hakbala is after here. Hakbala is discussed in the next psukim, where it says the Baltas Ar Shav Elimar. Rashi tells us, nevertheless, that's what the Vayagid Moshe is going on. That's how this Brisa learns. That's how Rabbi Yosy learns. Rabbi Yosy Bayuda. But Rabbi says something very interesting. Before this whole process started, something else was going on. And Hashem was selling Klal Yisrael on the benefits and the responsibilities of being Makabel the Torah, just like a ger. Rabbi Omer, B'tchila Pirs Oinsha, that Bishlishi that we're talking about was the third day of back and forth between when Hashem was telling Klal Yisrael about the Oinshim of the Torah, the Schar of the Torah. So B'tchila Pirs Oinsha, the first Hashem sent a message to Klal Yisrael to explain the punishments for not keeping the Torah properly. D'chsiv Yoshev Moshe, Devorim Shem Shavavim Daita Shalodam. I think the lesson of the art scroll is alienate, or I didn't use the word alienate, he used a different word, but it's marchik. It's marchik Klal Yisrael. Let me just see what the word repel. He uses the word repel. And then Hashem told Klal Yisrael about the wonderful advantages of keeping the Torah. So Vayoshev is a lotion of repel, and the Yagid is a lotion, it draws them in. Where does the word Vayagid mean draw in? Ka'agoda, like Agudah, a bundle that gathers things in.
Which words are what
Yagid.
words refer
It's
to the
word
Einshim?
Vayagid.
The Einshim? The Einshim.
No. Devarim shemoishchem li b'shel adam would probably be the Matan Schara. The Einshim are mishavavim. So first Hashem told them about the Einshim.
Where? What words tell us that?
Vayoshev.
Vayoshev.
Vayoshev
How do you extract that from Vayoshev?
Vayoshev is also mishavavim.
No, another drasha.
And the Yagid is a lesson of Ma'agid, draw in and bundle, bring together. The Ikadar means exactly the opposite. It's Chila Pirish Matan Schara. First Hashem told us about the Schar. Things that put people at ease. Pirish Oinshe Yagid Moshe. V'yagid is lashon of dvarim kashim shekashim la'adam kegid, like bitter sinews. So it's interesting, when you sell a product, do you first give the disclaimer and then talk about how great it is? Or do you first talk about how great it is, draw them in, and then give them the disclaimer? If you give them the disclaimer first, you lost them already. You know, whenever you watch a television commercial, the legal is all the way at the end. But first they expand on the advantage of the product. So the second shot is very poshut. First, Hashem told them how great it is. Once he piqued their interest, he says, but by the way, it comes with an expense. But in the first shot first he read them the Riot Act. First he told them all of the responsibilities. And then, if you want my Torah, fine. If not, I'll go somewhere else. Okay.
I think, though, if you're dealing with a nation of lawyers, they go, never mind the fluff. Let me see the small print.
And And the Moshe knows that we're all lawyers.
That's
Because
right.
of that, he had to provide the legalese first.
That Harkagiddigus wasn't very small print, I'll tell you.
It's funny, the Siddur Shel Shabbos has a beautiful pshat in this. And the Siddur Shel Shabbos said that the Rebbeinu Shalom wanted Torah to be given to Klal Yisrael with Isarusa de Lasata. Everybody knows there's a famous concept of Isarusa de Lasata is what creates, what prompts it. Is it an action from Lasata, from down here, from mankind's maisim, or is it Isarusa de La'ela? Is it just coming from Hashem? So for instance, Shabbos is referred to as Isarusa de La'ela because we don't do anything to get Shabbos. Shabbos just comes. While Yom Tov is considered Isarusa de Lasata because we have to be Kaveya the month, Kaveya Rosh Chodesh, so we're the one who bring in Shabbos. That's why it says Mekadesh Shabbos in the Bracha of Kiddush, and in the Bracha of Yom Tov it says Mekadesh Yisrael Vazmanim, because the Yisrael is what brings the Yom Tov. So Hashem wanted that the Torah should be given with Nisarusa de Lasata. He wanted to see that Klal Yisrael is yearning for it and is deserving of it. So he actually threw them bait, and he told Klal Yisrael, "Va'ata imshomai tishmu b'koili ushmartem esperisi v'yisim l'skulim michalam kili chalaretz." There's great benefits to you personally if you keep the Torah. It's good for you. You'll be rich, you'll be powerful, you'll be famous, you'll be strong. So Hashem was throwing them a decoy. Forget about me. Forget about doing the mitzvahs of the Rosh Shalom. This is good for you. It's a good deal. And Moshe presented this to Klal Yisrael, that it's good for them personally. They'll have a personal benefit for the Torah. And what did Klal Yisrael say? We don't need schar. We don't need covet. We don't need money. We don't need anything. We want to do the Ratzon Hashem. And then the pasuk says, "Vayashav Moshe as Divrei Amal Hashem." Moshe merely passed along the message. Vayashav, he passed along the message that Klal Yisrael expressed to their Rebbeinu Shalom. So now Hashem said, "Okay, I have a nation that's worthy of accepting the Torah within the Sharusa de Lasata." They showed me that they truly yearn for the Torah, for the mitzvahs. But I need to find a shliach that's also totally selfless about it, and that's doing the total L'Shem Shemayim. So he decided to throw Mosher Rabbeinu bait to see how sincere Moshe Rabbeinu was. So Hashem told Moshe, "Hine anochi ba elecha ba'afa anam, v'avayishma ha'am v'dabri imach." I'm going to speak to you on Har Sinai, and the whole world is going to see that God is speaking to Moshe Rabbeinu. Now, if you can think of a greater covet than that, that's unbelievable. I mean, what you think of the greatest covet somebody could have, and it doesn't hold light to standing speaking panim to the Rebbeinu Shalom in front of everybody, and not only that. If you buy now, we also include the Gam B'choy Amin L'Olam. Forever and ever and ever, you are going to be Moshe Emes V'Sarach Emes. Now that is some legacy that's very worthwhile going for. So he threw Moshe bait that Moshe would also want to do this for his own wants. And what does it say? Vayagid Moshe Divrei Amal Hashem. The same answer that Moshe earlier relayed B'Shem Klal Yisrael to their question, Moshe on his own answered to Hashem regarding the question and the offer that Hashem made to him. And that's the difference between the Vayoshev and the Vayagid as well. Vayoshev is him passing on the message of Klal Yisrael. Vayagid is him saying his own message. So once Hashem saw that he has a nation who really wants to Torah L'Shem Shemayim, and he has a shliach who wants to be Mekabel Torah L'Shem Shemayim, he says, let's get down to business. And then they got into the system.
Just Yosy, that was beautiful, Dvar Torah, beautiful explanation. Go back to the Chumash for a second. Because when Hashem says to Moshe, "I will believe in you," he doesn't relay that to Bnei Yisrael, does he? Look, Vayavam Moshe Vayamas Vayasim Lifneims.
That's right.
And he doesn't say that. He says it's a private. So
it never went. He was never. That message was never delivered to Klal Yisrael. Right. It had nothing to do with him. And
that's what always gave them the opening to rebel against Moshe. Right? We never signed that part of the deal.
Moshe told Hashem, what happened to the Gam B'choy Amin L'Olam?
It's not. That's the
It
deal. That's
evaporated
what.
very quickly.
But that's what Hashem is telling Moshe. You're going to get it. B'chaya Aminu. This is the kind of emunah they have in me too, where they sometimes doubt, they sometimes yes believe. You're on page.
You're just
with
like
me.
God. They sometimes believe in you.
That's right.
Very good. Okay. Zot the Gemara weiter. Toshma. So again, we're going back to this machlokes between the Yosy and the Rabbanon. Was Rosh Chodesh on Sunday or was it on Monday? Toshma. Shishi. Now you have another brayso that talks about day 6. We need to know what the significance of day 6 is. But it was Shishi b'Chodesh. It happened to be the 6th day of the month. And Shishi b'Shabbos, it was Friday. Kosher Rabbanon, because according to the Rabbanon, Friday was actually day 5 of the month. So tomorrow, Hanami Rabbi Yosy, we can say that this brayso is also according to Rabbi Yosy. Shishi Lamai, what is this day 6? Day 6 to what? Rav Amar, Rav says, it's day 6, L'chani Yosam. It's day 6 of when they rested in Sinai, in front of our Sinai. So Rashi tells us, that when did they rest? On Rosh Chodesh. Shishi L'chani Yosam, the 6th day of their rest, Ushishi b'Chodesh, Ushishi b'Shabbos. That, in fact, it's the 6th day after they arrived. If they arrived on Sunday, then day 6 after they arrived would have been Friday.
Chaniyasa means set up their camps.
Right, when they arrived
Right.
in Bahar Sinai. But Yaakov Omer L'Masam, it's the 6th day since they traveled, meaning they must have left and arrived on the same day, on that Sunday. The Kamifilgi b'Shabbos tomorrow, and the machlokes is what tzivuyim did they get about Shabbos in Morah? If they got the tzivui they cannot carry, well then they couldn't travel over Shabbos, meaning they must have left Sunday and arrived Sunday, which would be Rav Acha Yaakov Shita of L'Masam. But if you hold that they didn't have the Isurim to carry, then they might have traveled a couple of days, and they might have the Mason could have been a couple of days earlier. It's merely the Chaniyosam that happened on the day that they arrived. The Chsiv, it says in the pasuk, Kasher Tzivcha Hashem Alekecha. It says in the Seres Adibros, Shamar Hashem Shabbos Lakachay, Kasher Tzivcha. Keep Shabbos like I told you. What do you mean like I told you? When did you tell me? Shemami Noah, Koydem Adibros Nitzdavuba. So we know clearly that Klal Yisrael heard about Shabbos before the Seres Adibros. So my Savar as Shabbos Ifkoid at Chumen Loy Ifkoid. One man holds that they were commanded on the mitzvahs of Shabbos, just not about the mitzvah of Tchumen, which would limit their traveling abilities. My Savar at Chumen Nami Ifkoid. They were also commanded on Tchumen, therefore they had to have traveled first on Sunday.
Didn't they get the mitzvah of Tchumim when the mun fell? So they couldn't.
Al
collect-
Yetzi. Al Yetzi.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
these are all very good questions. Tosfos discusses. So it's getting late. So just to summarize Tosfos says two things. First of all, we know that there's a machlokes if Tchumen is deraisa or not. It was only Rebbe Kiva who held Tchumen is deraisa. So first of all, Tosfos says we're not talking about Tchumen. We're talking about Taitzah, carrying. It's calling it Tchumen, but it's talking about carrying, which everybody holds is also on Shabbos. That's the first thing. Second thing he said is when it says it's very possible that when it says Al Yetzai, Al Yetzish Mekhaimai, when it's talking about the Mon, it's possible that that's not when Hashem gave the tzivui, but that's where it was placed in the Torah because it's relevant to the story. Similar to Al Kain La Yochlu B'nei Yisrael Gid Hanasha, there's a shaila if the Gid Hanasha was the issue of Gid Hanasha was mitzvah right then, or really the tzivui came only b'shas matan Torah, but it was placed in context. Okay, let's see the Gemara weiter. Tashma, Nisan, Sheba Yotzu Yisrael in Mitzrayim, the year that Klal Yisrael left Mitzrayim, that year, Nisan, Barba Asar, Shachtu Peschayim, on the 14th day of Nisan, which was Erev Pesach, which was the day before they left Mitzrayim, they all shechted their Korban Pesach, Uvechamisha Asar, and on the 15th day of Nisan Yotzu, they left Mitzrayim, Ula Erev, and in the evening, Laku B'choris, was Makas B'choris. This sounds like it's the evening after the 15th, after they left Mitzrayim. And that's not true. It happened the evening before. Ela mi be'erev laku b'choris. It means that the night before they left, which is the night after the 14th, into the 15th, coming into the 15th, that was a night of Makkah B'Charis. And that day was on a Thursday. So that means the first day of Pesach, the very first Pesach, was Thursday. If the 15th day of Nisan is going to work out to be on a Thursday, then that means, and Nisan has 30 days, then Reish Yarcha De'ir Shabbat. That means that Rosh Chodesh Iyar would obviously be on Shabbos, and Reish Yarcha De Sivan would be on Sunday. So let's quickly look at a calendar to see how that works out. So again, Rosh Chodesh Nisan that year would have been Thursday. The 15th of Nisan would have been a Thursday, which is what we're discussing. And if the 15th of Nisan, first day of Pesach, was Thursday, then the last day of Nisan has 30 days, would have been a Friday, which means that Rosh Chodesh Iyar will be on a Shabbos. Now, Iyar has 30 days. If Iyar had 30 days, then Rosh Chodesh Sivan would be on a Monday. But if Iyar had 29 days, then Rosh Chodesh Sivan would be on a Sunday. Now, this is the machlokes, right? We have a machlokes if Rosh Chodesh Iyar was on Rosh Chodesh Sivan was on a Sunday or a Monday. So it would depend on did the month of Iyar that year have 29 days, which is the norm, because it's every second month is 30 and every second month is 29. Or did they have an anomaly that year and add another day to the month of Iyar, and that pushed Rosh Chodesh off a day? And that's what the Gemara is going to go through right now. So let's see what the Gemara says. Tashma. Let's skip it. So Oisha Yom Chamisha B'Shabbos. So with the Chamesha Ben Nisan Chamisha B'Shabbos, if the first day Pesach was Thursday, Reish Yachid De'ir Shabbata, Rosh Chodesh Iyar would have been on Shabbos, Reish Yachid Sivan would have been on Sunday. Kashal Orban, Shran Orban, Amlach Rabbanan, Iyar De'ishaita Avurei Avruha. They made it a 30-day year, like we saw on the calendar, which pushes off Rosh Chodesh one day. Tashma, the Lo Yavru Nisan. I will prove to you that they did not add an extra day. They didn't add an extra day to the month of Iyar, because Nisan Shelo Yatzu Yisrael Mitzrayim. The Paisha says Nisan the year Klai Shalach Mitzrayim. Barbazo Shachtu Pischei. B'Chamish also Yatzu. U'La'erev Loku B'Chayris. La'erev Loku Da'itach. La'emim Ba'erev Loku B'Chayris. The Oisei Ayoyim Chamishi B'Shabbos Hayah. The day they left Mitzrayim was Thursday. Hishlam Nisan. So Nisan was a Shalim. It has 30 days. The Iyar Liyos B'Shabbos, which would make Rosh Chodesh Iyar on Shabbos. Chaser Iyar only had 29 days, and therefore the Iyar Sivan Liyos Bechad the Shabbos, which means Rosh Chodesh Sivan would be on Sunday. Kashal Rabbanon, who holds that Rosh Chodesh Sivan that year was on Monday. So tomorrow, Yosy, you're right. This brisa that says very explicitly that Rosh Chodesh Sivan that year was Sunday would be only consistent with the Yosy. Omar Papa Tashma. Vayisu me'elim, vayavoyu kaladas b'nei Yisrael, v'chamisha also yoyim l'chodesh hasheni. So this pasuk is talking about next year. Yes.
That brisa doesn't. Unless I'm reading it wrong. If Iyar only had 29 days, then Rosh Chodesh Sivan would be on Shabbos, according to the chart that you showed us. And this one said Chaser Iyar.
Let's go to the calendar.
Right. Right. Just so you read Chaser Iyar, and then Sivan Liyos Bechad Shabbos. That doesn't work.
The last day of Nisan was on Friday, so Rosh Chodesh Iyar was on Shabbos.
That's everybody agrees with that.
Right, and if you count 29 days, that'll also be on a Shabbos.
Right, and then
make Rosh Chodesh Sivan Sunday.
Rosh Chodesh Sivan. Sorry, yes. Now I see what you're saying. Yep, yeah. And then Matan Torah is on Shabbos.
And Matan Torah will be the following Shabbos. We'll do that Shabbos. That's great.
Wasn't it the same as this year? Rosh Chodesh was on a Sunday, but we celebrated it on Shabbos.
Well, I know Shavuos worked out this year, right? Because Rosh Chodesh was Sunday, and Shavuos was Friday Shabbos, which is exactly how it worked out this year. Yeah. Okay, so let's see this next. Vayisu me'elim. They left from Elim. And I believe this is the following year. Yeah, this is the following year. So on the 15th day of the second month, so that's the 15th day of Iyar. That day was Shabbos. This is the day they got the mon. This is the day they got the month. That day was Shabbos. Right. Since when the month was given, they were told that they're going to be able to gather month for 6 days. It must have been Sunday, because otherwise they wouldn't be gathering month for 6 days. Okay. Shabta, if the 15th day of year was Shabbos, because again, they were told that they were going to get them on tomorrow and they're going to get them on for 6 days. And then they'd be Shabbos, which means the 15th day, the day of the Besura that they were going to get them on, was on the 15th day of Iyar. So Shabta, if the first day of Iyar is Shabbos, that means Reish Yachad Sivan Chad B'Shabta. Then the Rosh Chodesh Sivan would have to be Sunday. Again, let's look at the calendar. Here we have the 15th day of Iyar. In the regulation, the 15th day of Iyar was Shabbos. If the 15th day of Iyar is Shabbos and we have 29 days, then Rosh Chodesh Sivan would be on a Sunday. So let's see what the Gemara is saying here. The Gemara is saying here, Shabta, if the 15th day of Iyar is on a Shabbos, then Rosh Chodesh the Sivan would have to be on Sunday. So let's look at it again. If the 15th day of Iyar was going to be on a Shabbos, which in this calendar it is, right? So then Rosh Chodesh would have to be on a Sunday. Is that correct? Because that's how the calendar works. This is Iyar 15, which is Shabbos. So if Shabbos is the 15th of Iyar, then Rosh Chodesh even has to be on a Sunday. I think that's what the Gemara says.
I mean,
right. So then Rosh Hashanah has to be Sunday. So Kasher L'Rabbanan.
Iyar is 29 days. If Iyar is 29 days.
And normally Iyar is 29 days. So if that's the case, Kasher L'Rabbanan, that'll be Shran D'Rabbanan who said that Rosh Chodesh on Monday. Amulach Rabbanim, the same answer we said earlier, is Iyar. The Hishata Avur Evra. They added an extra day. I guess they didn't see the moon. Overlay Rav, the Bach changes it. Asi Mechazno, I think the Bach says. Rav Asi Mechazno. So Amal Rav Asi Mechazno, the Rav Ashi. Toshma. Vahiba Chodesh Harishon, the Shana Hashenis. It was the first month, the second year. So it was Nisan in the second year. Be'echad l'chodesh. So Rosh Chodesh Nisan the second year. Hukam HaMishkan. That was the day that the Mishkan was set up. Tana, we learned 10 special firsts occurred on that day. First of all, it was Rishon L'Maaseh Bereshis. That day was the first day of the Maaseh Bereshis. She'echad b'Shabbos, it happened to be the Sunday, Rashi says. Rishon L'Nesiim, and Rashi says it was the first day that the Nesiim started in Makar, because after the Mishkan was Hukam, there was the Nesiim. Rishon L'Kohuna, it was the first day. So until now, the Avodah was done with the Bechayros. That was the day that the Kohanim took over. Rishon L'Avodah, it's the first day of Avodah, meaning the Seder Avodah Tzibur, Timidin, B'Shak Avodah, Shalchum Salishka. The normal Seder of Avodah, the Beis Hamikdash, or in the Mishkan, started. Rishon L'Yeridas Ha'esh, because it says, V'teish Ha'esh L'Fnei Hashem, V'atoichal Al HaMizbeach. Rishon L'Achilas Kachim. It's also the first day that they had to eat kachim, the mechitza, in the borders that are defined in Yerushalayim or in the Kloim, depending on what it is. Up until this point, kachim were able to be eaten anywhere. And Rishon Lishchain, Rashi says, the Yisrael Shechina, Shars Hashem. That was the first time there was a Shras Shechina. K'nesiv v'shechati b'soicham mechlal dadash loy shachin. I think that's what the Bach says. Rishon Levarchas Yisrael. It's the first time that we had Birchas Kahanim K'nesiv v'yisar Nisyadov. And Rishon Le'isar Habamis, because Rashi says, Me'achshav Nesru, Sheharoi Le'Pesach HaElmoid. Until now, they didn't have a Mishkan. Now that they do, there's a Isar Bamis to K'nesiv Le'Pesach HaElmoid Le'Eviyoi. If it's royalty to Rak Pesach HaElmoid, then there's an Isar Bamis. Rishon L'Chadashim. And it was also the first of all the month, which is Chodesh Nisan. Now, when we do Reish Yarchad in Nisan, the High Shato, Chad b'Shabbos. If Rosh Chodesh Nisan this year fell out on a Sunday, that means the shtakid, it must be that last year Rosh Chodesh Nisan was B'Daled b'Shabbos. Had to have been on Monday, on Wednesday. How do you know this? The Tanya, Ein bein atzeres la'atzeres, vein bein Rosh Hashanah l'Rosh Hashanah, vein bein Pesach l'Pesach, el B'Daled b'Yom b'Levad. And the calculation is very simple. There's 354 days in the Jewish calendar. There's 7 days in a week. If you divide 354 by 7, 7 is divisible equally into 350. 7 times 5 is 35. 7 times 50 is 350. But you have 4 days extra. So that would push off whatever Pesach, whatever the first day of Pesach is this year. Next year, it's going to be 4 days later in the week because there's an extra 4 days over the equal week. If the calendar was divisible exactly by 7, then everything would always fall out on the same day of the week. But since there's an extra 4 days, it pushes it off. So once we establish that Reish Chodesh Nisan of that year, where they put up the Mishkan, once we establish that occurred on Sunday, it must be that the Reish Chodesh Nisan the year before had to have been on a Wednesday. The Tanya, if there was an extra month, then there's 383 days in the calendar. Because 354. I'm
Not
sorry.
Wednesday. Thursday though, not Wednesday.
If
If it fell out on Sunday, so then 1 day would be Monday, 2 days would be Tuesday.
No, we're going to the year before. No, we're going to the year before. If this year was Sunday, then last year was Wednesday because it's Thursday, Friday, Shabbos, Sunday. But we're not going to next year now. We're looking at last year.
Got it. Okay.
Now, if last year it was an Ibayar, then it pushes it off 5 days. And again, because if you do 354 plus 29, it works out to 383. So let's figure this out. It's 383. 383 divided by 7 is 54 weeks. So 7 times 54 is 378. So 378 will be equal. Now there's from 378 to 383 is 5 days. So it would push off the next year by 5 days. So the Mosher Rabbeinu is hey happen. Anyway, so that's not relevant. Well, we're focused on the 4 days. So every time, if Rosh Chodesh Nisan last year was Wednesday, then Rosh Chodesh Nisan this year will be Sunday. So let's think about this. Once we're saying that Rosh Chodesh Nisan was on a Wednesday, that means Rosh Chodesh Iyar was on a Friday. The Rosh Chodesh Sivan Shabbos, which would make Rosh Chodesh Sivan on a Sunday, on the Shabbos. So let's have a look. Let's have a look at the calendar. Because without the calendar, it gets very confusing. So we have a calendar here. If what it said was, if Rosh Chodesh Nisan is on a Sunday, if Rosh Chodesh Nisan would be on a Sunday, which we don't have here, but if Rosh Chodesh will be on a Sunday, then Rosh Chodesh Iyar, maybe there's a calendar over here. Oh, this is the calendar. Yeah, okay, here it is. Last year it was Wednesday. So if Rosh Chodesh Nisan was on a Wednesday, that would mean that Rosh Chodesh Iyar would be on a Sunday. So this is not good either. No, I'm sorry. If Rosh Chodesh Nisan is on a Wednesday, which was last year, then Rosh Chodesh Iyar would have been on Friday, which would make Rosh Chodesh Sivan on the Shabbos. And that is exactly our problem. Because according to Yosy, Rosh Chodesh Sivan would have been on Sunday. According to the Rabbanon, Rosh Chodesh Sivan would have been on Monday. But based on the calendar, when we look at next year and we work our way back to this year, it works out that Rosh Chodesh Nisan must have been on a Wednesday. If Rosh Chodesh Nisan this year must have been on a Wednesday, then Rosh Chodesh Iyar this year must have been on a Friday, which would make Rosh Chodesh Sivan on the Shabbos. And that would not work, not according to Yosy, not according to Rabbanan. Zok the Gemara, Kasha bein Rabbi Yosy bein Rabbanan. Zok the Gemara, Shiva Chasaron Avod, and the Rabbanan Hey Chasaron Avod. And for the Gemara, that year was a weird year. Normally, the way you get 354 is if 6 months have 29 days and 6 months have 30 days, then it works out to 354 and it pushes it off 4 days. However, if you make 7 months times 29 and 6 months and only 5 months times 30, then Zok Rashi, if it's Zayin Chasar Novid, if you end up making 7 months of 29 days and only 5 months of 30 days, it's only going to push the calendar off by days, not by 4 days. So therefore, it'll work out that Rosh Chodesh Nisan of last year was not Wednesday. Rosh Chodesh Nisan of last year could have been on a Thursday. And therefore, and we won't hold like a cherem, we'll hold that they played with the years, and therefore, instead of there being a 4-day difference between this year and last year, there was only a 3-day difference between this year and last year, and that will push off Rosh Chodesh to Sunday. And according to their Rabbanan, where we want to push off Rosh Chodesh to Monday, we'll say Ches Chaser Movid. They actually had 8 months of 29 days and only 4 months of 30 days, and that will end up only pushing it off an extra day, which would have made